Hello students, today I'm going to explain you the very important and interesting poem of Reminiscence of my childhood. The meaning of the reminiscence is here memory, the act of remembering things from the past. So here the poet is going to talk about the memory of his childhood. So this is a poem by Franklin Price. A reminiscence of my childhood, looking back on younger days when life was not so hectic, mass media not the craze. So, here, as a boy, the poet wants to explain that he remembers the day of his childhood when he was in a younger days, and at that moment the life was not so busy. Here, the meaning of the hectic is busy. Mass media, not the craze. We will talk about the TV, we will talk about the mobile phone, smartphone. Then at that moment, that was not a craze. No such things as cell phones. We had a party line. Speaking to an operator to call a friend was fine. So here the poet is saying that no such things as cell phones. We were not using a cell phones at that moment. Actually, we had a party line. So meaning of this party line is here that a telephone line shared by two or more people. For example, nowadays we want to talk with a 2 to 3 person at one moment, and then we can use the conference call. So we have the option of conference, but at that moment if we'll talk about the younger days of the poet, then they had a party line only. Speaking to an operator, they have to call to an operator if they want to talk with a 2 to 3 person, and they have to make a call to operator to call a friend. At that moment was a fine. To look up information, an encyclopedia of course and other books of reference, library was a source. And here the poet is saying to look up information. If we want to find something, then we have to read the encyclopedia where we can take the knowledge of particular subject, and other books of reference, library was a source. And if we will talk about the other books of reference, that was the only library where we can find the books of our interest. Checked out books of interest, couldn't download on the phone. Novels read from page to page. The turning put me in the zone. So, the poet is saying here that at that moment, if I'll talk about the checked out, so that was just to look at something interesting or attractive. That was a books of interest. Couldn't download on the phone. We can't download on a phone, but nowadays we can download novels read from page to page. If we want to read a novels, then we have to read the page from page. The turning put me in the zone, and through these all pages we can just say to our interest that if I'll find this book very interesting, then definitely the turning put me in the zone. Next is checking out time was just 2 weeks. Returning late there was a fine. An exorbitant 2 cents a day, a large amount if it was mine. So checkout time was 2 weeks. If we are taking any kind of book, then we have to checkout time was just 2 weeks. Returning late, there was a fine. An exorbitant that was can just a large amount, 2 cents a day, a large amount if it was mine. So I'll just really feel bad at that moment when I have to pay that large amount as a fine. Computers filled more than a room, at least that's what I heard. Apple was a fruit to eat, Microsoft was not a word. So the point is saying that at that moment, if we will talk about the size of the computers, and at that moment, if we were living in a single room, then computer can fill the room as according to its size. But nowadays, according to the new technologies, we don't have such a kind of computers that can fill a room. At least that's what I heard. Apple was not a fruit to eat. At that moment that we will talk about the apples, and then at that moment the apple was only a fruit to eat. But now if we will talk about the laptop, that is also of Apple. We will talk about the mobile phone, that is also of Apple. So, but if we will talk about the younger days, then the apple was only a fruit to eat when we don't have any kind of mass media or mobile phones. Of course, there was no texting, conversation face to face, meeting at the local drive-in for a bite was a place. So of course, there was no texting as we don't have any mobile phones, smartphones. So conversation only was a face to face, meeting at the local drive-in for a bite was a place. If we'll talk about the drive-in, so here is a place where one can sit without leaving the car. Reminiscence is so wonderful, it always makes me smile. So the poet is saying here that it will talk about the reminiscence is so wonderful. It will talk about the memory that is so wonderful. It always makes me smile. If I'll just think about my younger days, I'll post this poem on Facebook in just a little while. Then at last the poet is saying that definitely I'll post this poem on a Facebook in just a little while. So, students, that is our poem, Reminiscence of My Childhood, and I hope so that you will find this video very beneficial.